Okay, so for today's lesson, it's the same as normal really. You've got your Python programming workbook here from Classwork. So if you go to your Python programming workbook and your workbook is here. Okay, now we did start task 5 last lesson. So that's where you should carry on from, whichever task that you started or whichever task you got up to in task number 5. You can carry on from there. So I'm just scrolling down to it now. So your task 5 started here with the if statements, okay? So you've got your if statements to work through. If you're really comfortable with the if statements after you've done a few of them, you can move on to task number 6, which is a lot further down, which uses loops. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the if statements and loops now before you get going. Okay, so task 6 starts there, and that's the first piece of code there, 6.1. Okay, so when you open Python, you get it from the menu as normal. Open it from down here, and it's Python 3.6 idle, and then you can open any of the saved programs you have, opening it from here, or you can do file new file. Remember, you've got to do file new file, and you do your coding here, not in the one with the text in. You do your coding in this one, but you can open a file that you've already started on if that's where you're up to. You also need to make sure that your Google Drive is installed, and if it isn't, type drive and click Google Drive app here. So that one's for your Google Drive. You can find all your saved work in there, and you can save your work to there. So you need to open Python, file new file. You'll need to get your Google Drive installed. If it's not, you need to check that. So just type drive down there and click on the Google Drive app, and then you will reinstall it to save your work to, or find any of your saved work already. So once you're organized with, you've got Python open and you've got your Google Drive app installed, you're going to be thinking about your coding. So I've got a few examples here again. So remember, with the if statements, this is our variable, and whatever I input, it's going to compare it. If age was over or equal to 18, it will print adult, otherwise it will print child. Couple of pointers. 2 open brackets here because you're using int, so you need 2 closed brackets there. Also, end of the if line, you need a colon, and a colon at the end of the else there. The indentation is really important, so you can't have your else there. It's got to be in line with the if. Your print statements can't be out of sync either, so the 2 print statements aren't lined up either, and they can't be there. They need to be indented out, because otherwise this if statement doesn't work. So if you're finding that you've got errors, it might be a bracket, not enough brackets there, it might be a colon, it might be that your indentation isn't lined up as it is in the workbook. So you've got to look out for that in your if statements. Okay, so the other ones, you'll get onto tasks that have got elifs as well, because you've got more options. So if it's over or greater than 80, it'll be distinction. Over or greater than 70, it'll be merit. Over or greater than 60, it'll be pass. If it's not any of those, it must be a fail. So that's where you don't need anything else here, you just need the else. And again, colons. Careful of your brackets, 2 closed brackets there, your indentations all lined up nice and neat. And then if you're happy with if statements, you don't need to do all of the if statements. You can move on to doing some of task 6 if you're ready, like this one. This is a while loop. Now, don't worry about this line at the moment, or this one, but this is asking me to enter the capital of France. Now, if I input London, answer is equal to London. This means, well, answer is not equal to Paris. Well, it's not. If I input London, it's not equal to Paris. So it's going to run this. Incorrect, try again, and ask me to enter a brand new answer. Then it'll check it again. And if I don't enter Paris, it'll ask me to enter it again. If I do enter Paris, it will stop looping round and asking me, and it'll go to print correct, well done, and that would be the end. Okay, so again, this indentation is important because these are the lines of code that have to run every time it's asking me the question until I get it correct. I'll just run it and show you. So run London, that's not correct, try again. So we'll put Paris in, well done. So it keeps on asking me here, it keeps on asking me there until I get it correct, because answer is then equal to Paris. So this isn't true, because that means, well, answer is not equal to Paris. Do these things.